Hey Tim, it's Mike Portnoy here, and I heard you just turned the big 5-0, half a century. Congratulations and welcome to the club. Hope you're having a great one, man.
Hey, happy birthday.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling, and this is a special episode. This is a review episode. I've got Ches here with me. Hello, sir.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I asked Ches a while ago if he wanted to do this. This album's been out for a little while now, and I know by now a lot of people have been talking about it. A lot of people have been talking about it before a note was heard, because a pretty significant thing happened. Talking, of course, about the brand new album from Dream Theater called Parasomnia, with the typical Hugh Syme artwork, and
Awesome.
and got the see, I guess mine's a clear vinyl variant.
Black. Yep.
Cool. Yes, we get something a little bit different. Really cool back cover.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, as anyone knows, if anybody's watching, if an average Dream Theater fan knows, the big thing here is it's the return of Mike Portnoy, who hasn't played on a Dream Theater studio album since Black Clouds and Silver Linings in 2009. A break turned into 15 years of not playing with the band that he helped form, and I got to say, and I mean, I haven't been disappointed with any of Dream Theater's albums. I've liked all the albums they've done with Mike Mangini. I really like Distance Over Time. I liked View from the Top of the World. I even liked The Astonishing. I thought that was a brave thing for them to do.
Yeah.
So, sure. But in the spirit of the Dream Theater, I mean, this is the quintessential lineup, right? I mean, this was the longest running lineup, and it's kind of hard to believe after this long, because they, like I said, they had been continuing to be very productive producing albums, even without Mike sort of leading the show, like setting the tone for the album. But I mean, what we get here is it's just another good Dream Theater album, although it is different in that it is kind of a concept album.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done concept albums before. I'm glad that it's just on one disc.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't, like, I liked The Astonishing, but that was a lot of music to take it all at once, speaking of concept albums. But so the concept this time appears to be sleep, or the lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
So what were your thoughts when I guess the first indication that the ice was melting a little bit was when John Petrucci played when Mike played on John Petrucci's solo album. I have it. I can't even think of what it's called, but I have it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the other thing about those guys, is that they're brothers-in-law.
Yes.
Because they're married to sisters. So I mean, there's cousins and aunts and uncles, and so there's a whole situation there. But that was the first indication, and it was never really it wasn't like a David Gilmour, Roger Waters bitter.
Mike wanted to do different things, and you can see the many bands he was in since then, and then there was the solo album you're talking about, and then also Mike went to a Dream Theater concert, and that was like when I saw that and the pictures backstage, and I wonder what's going on, and I guess it was those 2 points. And for myself, when it was announced, there was this excitement. I was so excited. I could not wait for this album. First thing I did, I went on Amazon and I bought one of those archive releases that had Porno on it, like a live album, because I just had to have something, and it was just this anticipation, this excitement, and it's like, it's all kind of coming full circle. I never really thought it would happen. I don't know.
No.
We all think we're all hopeful, but I think we thought Mangini is great, and like you said, they put out a bunch of great albums. I enjoy all of those, but there's a certain spark I feel now, and I know personally, just an excitement. I feel an excitement kind of like for all us fans. So yeah, this is great.
Terminal Velocity, without getting up. Like, I thought that was the name of John's solo album, which I don't normally buy all those solo albums that come up, but I remember right around that time, there were 2 that came out that the bands weren't putting anything out. So there was that one, and then I bought Red Beach's album, which is also really good.
Yeah, good one too.
View from, I think it's called A View from the Inside. But anyway, that John Petrucci album had Mike Portnoy playing on it. And yeah, I think one of the reasons why I hadn't really thought much about it is, like you said, it's not like you noticed a big lack of anything with Portnoy not being there. I mean, Mike Mangini's a fantastic drummer. They've put out several studio albums, several live albums. He plays the old material just the way you'd want to hear it. When Mike Portnoy showed up, I remember him posting, for the very first time, I'm in the audience watching Dream Theater perform.
Surreal. It's just so surreal, yeah.
But I thought it was cool, and there was a picture of him and Mangini, and I thought, that's pretty classy. I like that. So but I still didn't think didn't think anything of it. But I can't even remember at what point I realized, that I read like, oh, so this is actually happening. But but my first thought was, well, what about Mike Mangini? What's he? But I guess, I guess it had been, I don't think there was any real animosity, and I've read interviews with him where he said, hey, I get it. I think Mike Mangini sort of took, I'm going to call it a Bruce Kulick type of attitude.
Yeah.
That he kind of figured that after a while, he would be replaced by someone that he kind of replaced. So the end result is we've got this really dark, like literally dark concept album about, I guess Parasomnia, whatever you want to call that. I mean, I never thought I'd see Portnoy in a Dream Theater photo shoot again. Is there
a great band photo in the booklet there?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It can't really flip through this. I'm trying to find that. I mean, typical Hugh Syme artwork. Every page could be its own. There it is.
I love the colors. Yeah, I love that picture, and it's just like, it just makes me happy when I opened up and I saw that picture.
Yeah, that's a cool. I don't know when Hugh started doing this, but I remember Rush, Snakes and Arrows being like this.
Yes,
where every single page could have been its own album cover. But it's just cool. I mean, there is something real. It just feels right seeing those names together, and I guess so this time. But Mike Portnoy did not assume production or a co-producer role. It was produced by Petrucci, mixed by Andy Sneap, and all their albums have sounded good. There's no. This isn't a quantum leap above what they've been doing, because I think what they've been doing is pretty good. It's just really, really good. So, so let's go through this track by track, Ches.
Yeah.
So the opener, I mean, in typical Dream Theater fashion, that there's no concessions to radio play on this.
No.
First track is called "In the Arms of Morpheus," which is a pretty lengthy instrumental. And I honestly had to look up who Morpheus was in literature or whatever. When I hear the name Morpheus as a Kiss fan, I think of music from The Elder.
Yeah.
At the end of Morpheus, you have been summoned here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think about it. But yeah, it's a cool instrumental. You just instantly, as soon as it kicks in, you just know who it is.
Yeah.
It's familiar in the best of ways.
Yeah. Like a heavy riff, very, it's a chugging heavy riff, very metal riff. And then for me, it's like, then you hear one of those classic Portnoy drum fills, like only he can do.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Like, it's just like
starting with the real tiny toms.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, that's Mike. And of course we've missed it so much. And we all have like all his albums he's been on, but I feel that his true genius of a drummer shows up on the Dream Theater albums, and it's a chuggy metal riff. You can hear an alarm clock kind of ringing in the background. So it kind of sets up the whole concept of sleep and, the things that happen, like you said, lack of sleep. And just kind of, and then it just kind of segues into that first tune, but great riff. And it's kind of like they're saying, okay, we're back and we did not miss a beat. Yeah.
And I like the fact that they opened with an instrumental too. They didn't go right into a vocal track, because it just gave the musicians a chance to, like, hey, this is what we sound like when we play together. I mean, I like, this is even, horror movie, like Rosemary's Baby
Yes.
vibes here. Like, it's very, it's not a, it's a dark album in every sense. So the first track with vocals is Night Terror, which is it's very dark. It's 9 minutes and say on the back of the record. No, it doesn't. Anyway, it's a 9 minute track,
Yeah,
I think.
almost 10 minutes, 9:55 on the CD, it says, yeah.
And let's see, this is written by Petrucci completely, like lyrics and music, and Labrie sounds good on it. It's got a catchy chorus, which is one of the things that got me into Dream Theater in the mid 90s was that they're making this really complex prog music, but he can sing and it's hooky. Yeah. And that's why I've stuck with him ever since. I mean, every song title gives you a hint as to what it's going to be about, but it's good. I mean, I think this was the first single, the first video.
It was one of them. I'm not sure if it was this one or one of the ones that's coming up later. It was definitely one of the advanced singles. Yeah, just a fast riff, Portnoy again. And I'm going to echo your point on James Labrie. I think he sounds great on this album, one of his better, more recent vocal performances. And I also want to make a point on, there are a lot of hooks in here for all the musicianship and the virtuoso playing that's going on. Sometimes like the hooks can get lost, and there are quite a few hooks like in the choruses. It's a great one there, like Night Terror, Hysteria.
Yeah.
It just kind of flows. Again, Jordan Rudess, it's got that keyboard riff in there, and, John on the bass there. You can just hear, like, in each song, I feel you can hear, like, how good everybody is at their job there. But great hook. And I want to echo that thing about the hooks. And I think one of James's better, more recent vocal performances.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, and then Jordan Rudess you forget sometimes that he's not the original keyboard player.
It's crazy. He feels like he's been there forever, because he has been there for a long time. And I forget the original. I always forget his name. I can always remember Derek Sheridan, because
Kevin Moore was
Kevin
Moore was the guy on, like, he left at the end of, like, after Awake was recorded, and then they had Derek but Jordan, and I think Jordan recorded with those guys. They had so many, like, Liquid Tension Experiment, I think.
Yes.
Jordan was part.
He's in that.
So he was just such a natural fit, and he's just been their steady rock now. I mean, he's almost like, it's almost like, not quite the same, but you don't think it's strange that Don Airey is the keyboard player in Deep Purple anymore. He's been there. He's just such a natural fit.
I feel like he's been there forever, but we know he hasn't. It's just seamless fit. Yeah. But he has been there a long time. Yeah.
Next up, we have A Broken Man. This is a James Labrie penned song. Really, really like this one. It's, it's about dreams. Again, Hughes cover art kind of sums it up. You can kind of picture, what this old man's thinking. And it's a slightly more, I don't want to say, it's not a ballad, but it's a slightly slower. It's definitely, a lighter song relatively than Night Terror, but it's good. Really good.
Yeah. Another great riff. Portnoy again, just with the fills all over. Another melodic chorus, I feel, and it's another great song. So we're off to the races here with the first three. Yeah.
And the next one is, so far, might be my favorite on this album, Dead Asleep. I really, really like this one. This one this reminds me a little bit, and I guess it makes sense because this is kind of a rebirth for them, but Scenes from a Memory was, that was the first one with Jordan, but that was the first one where they kind of took the reins of production and kind of said, okay, this is what we're going to do. This reminds me of that whole concept, because you're never really sure how this turns out. And I don't want to spoil it, but it's like, somebody is kind of accused of committing this horrible crime, but how could he? He was dead asleep. And dead asleep is an interesting way of putting it too. So, did he dream it? Did it really happen? Did he do something did he commit this crime in his sleep? And I just really, really like this one.
Oh yeah. And it does, sometimes it's hard for me to follow like stories, concepts. It takes me a while, I feel like every time I listen to this, like I can hear the story that they're telling, and it was the
Yeah.
same thing from Scenes from a Memory. Like might be my favorite Dream Theater album. I am just like right in there. I feel like I'm at the movies when I put that album on, and I can see it play out in front of me
Yeah.
every time. And I feel like this kind of like it's kind of like fits right in with that era right there. And yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree with what you're saying there.
And definitely Hugh Syme's artwork, much like his work with Rush, adds that element to it. Like I wonder now, like it would be cool if if you were to say, what would Scenes from Memory look like, the visual packaging, if Hugh Syme had done the artwork, because they didn't start working with him, I think, until Octavarium.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a comment before I forget. Remind me of something. Number one, I love the color on this, like the dark greenish. Yep. I love the tones on here, and what you just said about that right there. So I've got I've got the CD and the vinyl. I'm very tempted. I don't know if I'm going to do it. There's this other version. It's kind of like one of those earbooks. It's got the CD. It's got the Blu-ray, and then it's got the instrumental CD. But it's that Blu-ray. What I heard, there's a visual for each song. Like you could watch it, and I want to see that, And it would just like, if I go for it, it'd be like the trifecta. But I'm just thinking, because that's how much I'm seeing like these pictures kind of form in front of me. So I'm, hopefully, maybe that'll pop up online or something someday, but there is a third CD in that other edition that has visuals. So you put it in your Blu-ray player, hear the songs, and then I just want to see what they come up with,
Yeah.
That would just be so cool. But yeah, I love the color tones on there. So yeah, Hugh, never short of like another great piece of art. And it's like you said, it could have been like 12 album covers, like right inside here. It's just amazing, like fantastic. Yeah.
It just, to me, it just makes perfect sense, because where Dream Theater were sort of, I'm going to say, the heir apparent to the Rush throne, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
When they emerged in the 90s, it just makes sense that they started working with Hugh, because a band like this needs the art director to be very in tune with what the lyrics are about, and work very close with the band, not just say, here's our album title, what do you got? And another thing I want to mention about about these colors. So, as anybody knows who's watched the show, I'm a huge fan and a huge supporter of all of the Todd La Torre Queensryche albums.
Yeah.
This is what Condition Human should have looked like, because the concept for Condition Human, I like it, but it's too dark. You can't see anything. This is just right, with the shadow, but just enough light so you can make out the details. This is what that Queensryche album should have looked like.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I know we've talked about that before. I have just playing that the other day. I hadn't played that in a while, and yeah, looking at that cover, you see exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah. So
next up is Midnight Messiah. This is a fast one once it gets going.
Yeah.
It's funny because every time I see the title, it makes me think Machine Messiah by Yes, which is one of my favorite Yes songs.
Oh, great tune.
Actually, I've seen Dream Theater. I've seen them jamming with the late Alan White doing that, which is
I've never seen that.
There's a clip of if you type in Dream Theater Machine Messiah, but yeah, this is a really good fast one. This is I don't know what I'd compare it to for an earlier Dream Theater song, but it's just another killer track.
Yeah, one of these. This was one of the advanced singles too. Great melody, great hook there. Midnight Messiah, Darkness Descends, Eternally Wired, Dreams Never End. And these choruses they're sticking with me, which is another good sign. And fast one, great riff, just great hooky chorus too. Though one of my favorites on the album for sure. Good single there. I thought good choice.
Yeah, and then it's got a little. I think it's just a short little thing, Are We Dreaming, which is more of a transition piece.
Yeah, a little bit of an interlude, yeah.
Yeah. And then you got another James LaBrie song, and this is kind of the ballad of the album, Bend the Clock.
Yeah, it's more like, whereas it's more like it feels like more of a hard rock song, whereas I feel like a lot of the other ones, they really lean on that prog metal.
Yeah.
This is mid-paced, more great, Mike Portnoy, Phil's great hook. And John Petrucci, he ends a song off with a solo, right?
Yeah.
I believe on this song. So I've heard people kind of say, channeling in David Gilmour, a famous solo who ends off and that Pink Floyd song "Comfortably Numb." But it is a great solo. It is a great, it is the mellowest song, but not mellow.
No, it's not. It's definitely not light.
Definitely not light. It's great.
It's funny you mentioned David Gilmour because this visual here, this makes me think Pink Floyd for some reason.
Yeah. Now, for that one there, that picture you held up, I think there's a video where the band is unboxing the super deluxe version that comes with art prints, vinyl, CDs, that visualizer, and they pull out the art prints, and they're saying that picture you pulled out that was almost the album cover that they were saying that one.
Oh, okay.
I believe. But it kind of goes back to what we were saying. There's like 10 pictures in there that could have been. So
it's a great it's a great image, but I don't think it would have fit the theme of the album. I think they picked the right one.
I'm happy for this one. Yeah, I love this. Yeah.
And there's something about the old metal frame bed that just makes it's got a little bit of that horror element to it.
Yeah.
And then, all the things, I mean, it's probably if I were to sit and look at it, you find more of the things in it that in the front there where you see, the arch or that window, you can see their Majesty logo in it.
Yeah. That always shows up.
Shows up.
Yeah. It's just it evokes that creepiness, like that empty room, just what's going on. Looks like it's very cold in there, so.
Yeah. Is she a ghost? Or is she sleepwalking, or what is happening? And the thing is, you never know. And even the detail, the more I look at the vinyl, even the detail on the floorboards is just so. I mean, it's Hugh Syme. Where who are we? Of course, it's going to be good. But and then finally, not to be outdone, they remind everybody exactly who they are with a 1932, almost a 20-minute track, the Shadow Man Instant. Now, as soon as I heard this, for some reason, I thought X-Files. Yeah. That's where my mind went. But this is a really cool song.
And it's nearly 20 minutes, and doesn't it? I feel it flies by. It doesn't feel like 20 minutes.
I've said this about, not, they don't have songs quite like this when I think of it, but I'm thinking about Xanadu.
Yeah.
Or Song for America by Kansas. You just don't notice how long they are because every part is so good.
Yeah. And I think what you said right there, what I got in my comment, everybody shines, everybody shows how good they really are. Like the vocals, John's riffs, Mike's, the bass playing, Mike's drum fills, Jordan. Everybody's got like a part in this, and it's like, well, there's that keyboard, there's that bass, and they just kind of, like you said, they just kind of throw everything in there, and like you said, remind everybody, hey, this is what we are. And it flies by because there's so much going on, and you want to hear each guy next. I think it's great, and not for everybody, a 20-minute song, but fans like us, I think, really appreciate that. And I just think it's great. And it kind of makes me want to put the album on again. That's what's been happening since I bought it.
There's different parts of songs I've been getting in my head too. Very, very, very much so. And maybe you're colored by the reunion incident, but I just hear joy in their playing. Even though they're playing sort of dark, heavy music, I just hear the interplay, and it's just like they've not lost a step. Like, it's a pretty big deal to be gone for 15 years, and then you don't just sit right back. You got to think about this. But so obviously, they were ready for this, because to me, this album could have followed up Scenes from a Memory. It doesn't sound like there's nothing missing.
No, I feel that I hear Train of Thought, Scenes from a Memory, and 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. It could fit right in there. I feel it draws from all those. Yeah. It feels like it could have come out. I agree with you, right? Follow up from Scenes from a Memory, Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, has it been that long? It's 16 years, has it? I think that's
2000. No, it was 1999 was Scenes from Memory. 2009 was Black Clouds and Silver Linings. So that was, and then in 2011 we had a Drastic Turn of Events. So, we've been spoiled as fans because there's been lots of albums, there's been lots of live material come out, live at Luna Park, and there's been, great stuff. but it's the family's back together, and it's it's and it's not, there's nothing about this that seems phoned in and like we're just going to coast and the fans will just love the fact that Mike Portnoy's back in. No, they worked really hard on this, and you can tell this is just pure unfiltered Dream Theater. I like also the fact, something that you mentioned, there are multiple versions of it, but for every people that just don't they don't want to break the bank every time, there's just a standard CD version of it you can get. It's not, you do have the choice, but I think a lot of us fans, we like to get the vinyl, and like you said, that Blu-ray version sounds very tempting.
Yeah. But I love it. And I know we're early in the year, but it's going to be a hard one. It's going to have to be a really good album to knock this one out of my top spot now. So
I can't, I know I haven't been listening to it for too long, but I have listened to it a lot. I don't hear any moments on here where I get distracted or bored or anything like that. This just keeps me locked in and tuned into it. I have to wonder, there's something and I'm sure that, diehard Dream Theater fans already know this, but I wonder if we're going to hear songs from the Mike Mangini era performed by Mike Portnoy. I got to say, unlike some bands, it wouldn't surprise me.
I think looking at the set list, I think I recognize one. I think I definitely recognize one from the Mangini era.
Yeah,
and, it wouldn't surprise me either. Because it was very amicable. It is like, I like what you said about the Bruce Kulick comparison there. And even Kiss came around and they started playing non-makeup songs when the gang was all back together.
There were two different things that happened, because when they reunited with Ace and Peter, it was like the non-makeup era didn't exist for a while, but eventually they came around and said, hey, these are great Kiss songs. So with Dream Theater, I mean, because there was no real animosity, I can't see any reason why they wouldn't dip into that, because they always change their set list. So that's just, why ignore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums of material in between that time. So, I mean, if Bruce Dickinson was willing to sing a Blaze Bayley song, I mean, anything's possible, right?
Yeah, that's another great example there too. So, I could totally see him doing that. I think there has been one added, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more, because it's a lot of music. They kept making albums, and they're good albums. So I think, let's keep that spirit alive with those, right? That's, to me, like the whole thing is Dream Theater, but we got the originals, the core back, the ones that everybody kind of grew up with, and everybody's happy. But I think everybody appreciates all those other things that they did with Mike. That's the only time I saw Dream Theater was with Mike Mangini they were celebrating 25 years of Images and Words, and played the album, and he was like, wow, he was like, I was like in awe. Like, he was just amazing, just there was one point in the concert I was focused on him, and he was just fantastic. But now it's just, when I heard that first Portnoy drum fill, I'm thinking, yep, this is it. And I love this. And he just reminded us, hey, this is me. And this was just the band's back together, fantastic. And they all look very happy. Every interview, they see that, and then their social media, and it's a good thing to see. I think, just to make a point, this is something you and I have talked about a lot. We want to see stuff like this. We don't want to. We
don't want the negativity,
and the suing. It's like every other day, bands we love, they're suing each other, and we could go on, but stuff like this, yes, let's get back, and this is what we want to see, and we don't need to see that other stuff.
There should be that positive spirit, and these guys have always conveyed that anyway. They've always been very diplomatic about things, and it's never really gotten too heated. I remember being, not to dwell on it, but I remember being shocked. I remember he was on Eddie Trunk when it first happened, and I'm like, that's like Lars leaving Metallica. This is not just another drummer. I mean, he's a major part of this band, and how's that going to work?
I was like, I was shocked. I think, what? But we're back.
So, folks, Parasomnia, new Dream Theater album. If you've ever liked them, I think you'll like what they're doing now. If you never liked them before, I've said this is not going to change your mind, but Ches and I like it. We think it's pretty good. So there you go. That's our 2 cents on it. Ches, as always, I want to thank you for popping on and doing this. These are
and thank you, Tim. Always a pleasure, and always grateful to be on your show, and very grateful. And thank you so much for having me again.
all right, folks. What do you think of the new Dream Theater or Portnoy being back? Make comment below. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and thank you all so much for watching this edition of Tim's Final Confessions.